On February 11, 1990, in Tokyo, Japan, the boxing world changed forever. James "Buster" Douglas, a name few believed in, shocked the globe when he knocked out the undefeated and seemingly unstoppable Mike Tyson. That single moment rewrote the rules of boxing. Tyson was supposed to be invincible. Douglas was seen as a tune-up fight, but in front of thousands inside the Tokyo Dome and millions watching worldwide, the underdog rose and the champion fell. In that instant, Buster Douglas became a legend. But while the world was celebrating his triumph, something darker was already taking shape beneath the surface. What followed was not a story of continued greatness, but one of loss, pressure, and personal collapse. This is the full and painful journey of the man who shocked the world, only to fall into its shadows. James Douglas was born on April 7, 1960, in Columbus, Ohio. Boxing was in his blood. His father, William "Dynamite" Douglas, had made a name for himself in the 1970s as a fierce and determined middleweight. But William wasn't just a boxer. He was strict, intense, and emotionally distant. That same relentless mindset he carried into the ring. He brought into his household. As a father, he was demanding and critical, especially when it came to his son's potential in the sport. Buster felt the weight of those expectations from a young age. He wasn't just being raised, he was being forged, and the process left emotional scars. Despite his father's vision, Buster wasn't drawn to boxing at first. He was tall, athletic, and had a soft spot for basketball. Standing over 6 feet tall and blessed with natural coordination, he seemed destined for a different kind of court. He played at Coffeyville Community College and then moved through Sinclair and Mercyhurst. For a while, the dream of playing professional basketball gave him purpose, but the gravity of his father's legacy and his disappointment kept pulling him back. Eventually, Buster gave up his own dream and returned to the ring. Not because he loved it, because he felt he had no choice. Once he committed, it became clear Buster had talent. His long reach, quick feet, and crisp jab were tools most heavyweights would envy. But there was something missing. His focus wavered. He would train hard for a while, then lose momentum. Coaches admired his potential, but questioned his heart. His father's harsh words, "You're soft. You don't want it enough," echoed constantly in his mind. That need to prove his worth to the man who doubted him became a driving force. It wasn't fame or money that pushed Buster forward. It was the quiet ache of never being good enough in his father's eyes. Turning professional in the early 1980s, Buster's career moved in fits and starts. He wasn't a rising star. He was a solid, mid-tier fighter. He won some bouts, lost a few, and showed flashes of greatness without ever fully committing to it. The boxing world didn't see him as a future champion. He was a reliable name, someone you could put in the ring with top contenders to test them. By the mid-1980s, that was his reputation. Talented, but inconsistent. Dangerous, but not driven. Even so, there was always something simmering beneath the surface. A quiet fire. A man waiting for his moment. That moment almost came in 1987 when he faced Tony Tucker in an eliminator for the IBF heavyweight title. For most of the fight, Buster looked sharp. He kept Tucker at bay with his jab and moved with surprising speed. But then came the 10th round. One lapse in focus, one crack in the armor, and Tucker took over. He landed a flurry of punches that ended the fight. Buster had come so close. Once again, he was seen as someone who couldn't finish the job. Critics called him a wasted talent. Trainers started to wonder if he really wanted to be there. His weight ballooned between fights, sometimes gaining 30 or 40 pounds. The whispers grew louder. He'll never be great. Then came tragedy. Just weeks before his scheduled bout with Tyson in early 1990, Buster's mother, Lula Pearl Douglas, died suddenly from a stroke. She had been his anchor. Unlike his father, Lula had always shown him unconditional support. Her belief in him kept him going through every setback. Her death shattered him. The grief was deep and raw. Everyone assumed he would cancel the fight. After all, Tyson wasn't just any fighter. He was a terrifying, undefeated force of nature with 33 knockouts in 37 fights. But instead of backing out, Buster made a decision. He would fight, not just for himself, but for his mother. This wasn't about the title anymore. It was about proving, once and for all, that he was worth something. No one believed he could win. Odds were 42-1 against him. Experts laughed at the idea. Fans barely paid attention. Tyson had destroyed bigger names, Spinks, Holmes, Berbick, with ease. Buster wasn't even seen as a threat, but behind the scenes, things were different. Tyson's training was sloppy. He skipped sessions, partied late into the night, and arrived in Tokyo underprepared. Buster, on the other hand, came in focused. He weighed a lean 231 pounds. He had trained harder than ever. He had something to prove. When the bell rang on February 11, 1990, everything changed. From the first round, Buster controlled the pace. His jab found its mark again and again. His footwork was sharp, keeping Tyson from closing the distance. As the rounds passed, Tyson grew frustrated. His right eye began to swell, but in round 8, he reminded everyone who he was. A brutal uppercut sent Buster to the canvas. For a few seconds, the world held its breath. Was it over? Buster got up, not just physically, but emotionally. He rose with the weight of his mother's memory and a lifetime of doubt behind him. In the 10th round, he struck. A clean uppercut stunned Tyson, followed by a series of hard shots. Tyson fell, not just to the mat, but to the shock of the world. He fumbled for his mouthpiece, confused and broken. The referee counted 10. It was done. Tyson had been defeated. The underdog had done the impossible. Broadcasters were speechless. Muhammad Ali sat stunned. "This is the greatest upset in boxing history," they said. Buster held all 3 major heavyweight belts. He had reached the top of the mountain. But glory is heavy, and Buster wasn't ready for what came next. The fame hit fast. Endorsements, interviews, celebrations. He was everywhere. He made millions. But no one had prepared him for that kind of life. There was no advisor, no plan. He bought a mansion. He bought cars. He went on luxury vacations. He spent freely. His weight returned. He trained less and partied more. The hunger that had fueled him in Tokyo was gone. By October 1990, just 8 months after his greatest triumph, Buster was set to defend his title against Evander Holyfield. He weighed 246 pounds, the heaviest of his career. Rumors spread of skipped workouts and a lack of serious sparring. When the fight began, it was clear something was wrong. Buster moved slowly. His punches were sluggish. Holyfield, precise and powerful, dominated the match. In round 3, a clean right hand dropped Buster to the mat. He didn't get up. Just like that, his title was gone. The backlash was swift. Fans felt betrayed. Reporters called it one of the worst performances in a title defense. They accused him of quitting. The media, which had once praised him as a hero, now turned on him. The $24 million payday from the fight became a symbol, not of success, but of wasted potential. Buster disappeared. He returned to Columbus, retreating from the spotlight. Depression took over. He stopped training. His weight skyrocketed to nearly 400 pounds. He developed type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. Friends and neighbors barely recognized him. Then came a health scare that nearly killed him. Buster collapsed and fell into a diabetic coma. Doctors told his family to prepare for the worst, but he woke up and he made a promise. "I'm not going out like this." In 1996, 6 years after the Holyfield loss, he launched a comeback. He dropped nearly 100 pounds and began training again. This time, he wasn't chasing belts. He was chasing redemption. He fought 9 times and won 8 of them, mostly against unknown fighters. In 1997, he beat Louis Monaco. In 1999, he won a decision over Andre Crowder. But no one was watching anymore. The spotlight had moved on. By the 2000s, Buster lived quietly in Columbus. The millions were gone. The attention was gone. He didn't build a brand. He didn't become a celebrity. He helped kids at boxing gyms and gave motivational talks at schools. In a rare 2010 interview, he reflected, "Beating Tyson gave me everything. Now it's about finding peace. Now it's about finding peace." He looked older, heavier, slower. His words were soft. His steps were slow. A 2020 documentary surprised fans who thought he had died years earlier. Now in his 60s, Buster appears from time to time at small charity events, but his name is rarely mentioned alongside boxing's greatest. He is remembered mostly for one night, that one victory, the greatest upset ever. But his story is so much more. It's a story about pressure, pain, and the heavy cost of glory. He beat Tyson, but he couldn't beat the world that came after. And that, in the end, is the saddest part of all.